Welcome. Glad to have you all as part of our session today. And just to set the scene, let you know what we're looking at today is going to be part of our hotspot program and the filtering that is provided as part of that program. So I just want to make sure if you're in the right place, and make sure you're seeing and hearing what you're expecting. It's always one of those surprises when you realize you're in the wrong session. So let's go ahead and jump to our next slide. So as we've talked about, we've done the registrations for these sessions using our registration process, and SCED is there for all of our sessions, including this one and the closing sessions towards the end. So just make sure that you're aware of your calendar, your schedule, and you're in the right place. So today, I'm going to introduce our guests in just a moment, but I will say that today what we're really here to see is the MODA interface that we're using as part of our suite of offerings from our hotspot program. And so what we're going to see is what our outcomes that we're looking for really is making sure that you understand how to log in and get in and are familiar with the interface, that you know how to go in and use the portal for things like reporting or looking at the content filtering if you need to make adjustments to that, and then how to administer the hotspots with their enrollment, what we've got through the VILS program, and then finally taking a look at just any of the general use, the data use on the hotspots themselves. So to walk through that, I'm joined by a couple of great folks, our partners from Akamai, and so I have Dan Laurie is on the call, and also Cindy Seiler, and the two of them have been sort of our Batman and Robin to the hotspot program. So I appreciate having you all here today, and I'm going to go ahead as I advance to the next slide. I'm going to turn it over to you all.
I can take this one. Hey, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, man. It's been, about 2 years, maybe even more now. It seems like just yesterday we were all together talking about how we were going to help, secure the world and secure the children and all the hotspots. And, here we are. And it's a great, and being part of Akamai, who's, Akamai and Verizon, just amazing partners over the years. And, we really take this not only seriously, but have a big devotion to helping secure the internet, helping secure the students, the future, and also giving back to our community, just like how Verizon and the VILS program does as well. So it's been an amazing partnership with Verizon, and we extend that out throughout the country, cities, the world, with hundreds of grants, millions of dollars in endowments. And this is definitely a project and a partnership that I value truly. So thank you for everyone that's been involved. And now we will go on to our next slide. And I'm just going to take a minute to share my screen. Cindy will be the one to actually guide us through the portal. But as I share on my screen here, just give me a second and I will share this out. And what you'll see today, what's really nice is that we're actually going to take you through exactly what you would see when you log into your portal, when you get your admin credentials. At any point, there's a chat here if you have any questions, and then there'll be a slide at the end that'll show you all the amazing support and customer success that Verizon and us provide as well. So, Cindy, I'll be your navigator today. I'll go on mute, and then you can just take the show on the road.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate that introduction. So we want to first kind of talk about how to navigate the portal. So once you have your login credentials, you will log in using two-factor authentication. So it will either call you or send you a text based on your choice that you click on. And then you'll get logged in, and it will look like this when you first log in here. The navigation within this portal is on the left-hand side. So it's a little different than some other portals. So just kind of be aware that anything that you want to get to is going to be over there on that left-hand side. We're first taken into this devices overview page. So it's going to give you a list of the devices that have been entered into the portal. And it's going to show the name that you've given it. So you can give it a different naming convention. So we see we've got phone 1, phone 2, phone and Steve's phone on this particular one. It'll give the number of the phone and then the ICC ID if you have that identifier in there. The policy group. So we're going to go and talk a bit about policies and how to create those and groups as well. So we'll get into that and what that means in a little bit. And then the connection status is probably the next column that you really want to look at there. So that's going to show you if that device has been connected to the service or not. All of your devices will come already connected. So those will all stay connected. Great. We can go ahead and go down to the policies section there, and then we can click on the policy groups first. We'll just go ahead and go in order. So these are going to show up the policies that are already set up. So you're going to get a default policy that's going to be already created for your groups. So there's two different things that happen. One is groups, one is policies. So your groups are going to be how the devices are organized. So that could be by grade, it could be by a teacher, etc. So you can have different groups, and then you can have policies for each group. All right, so I want to go ahead and just talk a little bit about the policies as well. So your default access policy, we're going to go ahead and click on that. That's going to show us, as we dig into this here, it's going to show us how many categories or websites are allowed and how many are denied. So the policies that you have that are pre-configured for you are already going to be set up to be SIPA and COPA compliant, but you can add additional sites here if you'd like to, or change your policies as needed. So
if I could jump in for just a second,
sure.
I think it's helpful to mention that you all have already gone through, I'll say, millions of websites and have those websites categorized, and that's why those categories come into effect. So Dan, if you could go back to the previous screen for just a moment. So when we look and see, there's a slider for allow or deny. And so those very large categories that even sometimes have subcategories, those are really what your default profile that every school has that's pre-configured, it's ready to go. And then they may want to dig into this a little further to see if they need to modify those. So I just thought that might be helpful to say the schools don't have to do any of this work. That's part of what you all have done, is you've gone through, categorize and list websites based on what type of site it is. And maybe this is a softball I'll throw up to you, Cindy, before you move on to the other section. But what happens if a site kind of falls in 2 or 3 types of categories?
Yeah, so that happens pretty often, actually. If a category is denied that the site falls into, then it would be denied there. And you can always test that at the top with that domain search. So when you're in this category rules section, if we type in a website, just as an example there, we could do facebook.com, perfect, and hit search. So it's going to show us the category or categories that it falls into and whether or not it's allowed or denied. And right there, you can also change the permissions too. So you could actually go ahead and click on allow if you wanted just Facebook to be allowed, but the rest of the social media, social networking sites to continue to be denied.
I knew that would be a softball for you, Cindy. So thank you for going into that.
It's a great question, though. And then you have, in addition to the categories, right? So we have the ability here to set specific sites. So whether you want to allow them or to not allow specific sites, then you can do that here with the website rules.
So for clarity on that, if say YouTube were, you can see that it's right now being allowed.
Mhm.
If you looked at the categories of YouTube, they might fall under streaming services would be one of the services. So if you were blocking streaming services, but allowing specifically YouTube, that means while the entire category is blocked, this override allows them to get to YouTube.
That is
Exactly.
correct.
Yeah. And this may be a good time too. I like to point out our help menu as well. So if you're ever in here and you're wondering how to do something, or you're not remembering exactly, what it is, the instructions for changing a website or a category, that was up on that top right hand side there. That was that circle with a question mark in it. Then you can go to the help center, and that actually is going to open up a new tab in your browser, and then you can search through there. So those are articles that exist. There's hundreds and hundreds of them, based on different keywords. So you would put your search words in the top and then get the articles that you would need to help you out. Now, if whatever you're looking for isn't coming up, or you're having trouble finding an article for it, bottom right hand corner there, we have Molly. That's our virtual assistant. So Molly can search, can provide answers, and most importantly as well, can also get you to a customer service representative should that be the case that you need one. All right, awesome. So the next thing that we're going to talk a little bit about are the reporting section. So within our reporting section, the top is where you are going to decide what filters are used in these reports. So anytime you change anything at the top, so the top's going to be what kind of report is it, the date range of the report that you're looking at, what type you want to leave it on mobile data there. And so that's going to let you alter what you're seeing on the rest of the screen. So that starts out with an internet usage overview. That's a slider right there too. So you can also slide that yellow bar to hone in on a specific day or range of dates. And then you've got below that an actual listing of devices and their amount of internet usage for the date range that you selected at the top. And then you've got the group breakout as well as category breakout. So that's going to show you in an infographic there what different categories of websites are being used and how much, what percentage of the usage is going towards each category. And then you've got the website list. So that's one of everybody's favorite reports because it actually just is a simple list showing what sites are being accessed from the most to the least. So this is our top 50 list. You can expand that if you, I can't really see the bottom of your screen there, Dan, but if you scroll down, you can definitely expand that list as well.
I think the expand is now they just show you the top 50. There's no expand anymore.
Okay, great. That's a nice update.
Yeah, they now just put the top 50 in there no matter what.
All right, perfect. So then if you want to switch over to the blocked content reports, so that's going to be up there at the top as well. So this is going to give you a really good overview of what sites have been denied and what categories people are trying to get to that they shouldn't. So this is there's not much to see in this particular screen that we're looking at here. I don't know if you go back or do a different date range, we might have some more info. We could always try that. You always have to hit apply when you make changes here. And let's see if we got anything else. Well, not really. This isn't too much of an active portal, but your reporting will show you what categories of websites are being blocked. Down at the bottom, you'll have a list of the specific sites that have been blocked. And you can also see that by device as well. So any information you want on what sites are being denied, you would be able to see it in this blocked content reporting.
And I think that's an important thing to mention, Cindy, is that you think about a school that might have, say, 100 hotspots, because this test group we had just has 3 devices in it, but maybe they have 100 or 150 hotspots, and they are complaining that they cannot get to a particular site. I think this report would be very helpful. They're saying, like, we're trying to get to our Google Mail, for instance, and if it's showing in the block report here, you could say, oh, that our policy is currently blocking Gmail, and maybe that's the overall email that's out there and not the school email, or if it's hosted, the school's mail is hosted in Google Mail, that might be something for them to consider. But I think that's always helpful. Many times people will generically blame the filter for something, and it may be something else, a typo on the student's end, or another tech issue. And if it doesn't show in the block report, the filter is not necessarily the cause of them not getting the site they're trying to get to. But if it does show, that could be a confirmation for them that, yeah, there is something with the policy that's preventing the students from getting to a particular site.
Exactly. Yep. And I do also want to mention too, a little bit further on the top row next to our choices are the CSV download button there. So if you want to download a report, then that is the button that you would use to do so. Perfect. And then to refresh, you've got your little circle with the arrow. And that's going to reset our report here back to, just refresh the screen. Sorry about that. Actually reset the entire report. All right, so we've gone over the different reports that you have available to you. We've talked a little bit about the policies, the categories of sites that are allowed and denied, as well as how to add specific sites should you like to. I'd like to also just touch quickly on adding an administrator, because that does come up sometimes. The circle with a little person in it on the top right is where you would do that. So that's going to allow you to go in and add your administrators from there. Usually there is a choice there for administrators. This particular demo that we're in doesn't have that one, but that's where that would be located.
And I would also add, if a school or a district were running into the same problem you just experienced, that Digital Promise, we offer a help desk. I know you've got some things later, Cindy, to mention about getting support, but
no, they changed
did they move it, Dan? Is that what the?
Yeah, they moved it. So
Okay.
yeah, because they like to update things.
They like to update things and not.
It used to be over here. Now it's over here. It's in user man. I figured, I'm like, oh, look, a setting that looks fun.
Yeah.
There we go.
Great.
So yeah, you can still do it from the portal.
Okay, good.
Then you would just click the little plus sign right here. When in doubt, click the plus sign.
Yep.
Good things happen.
All right, great. So that is the overview of the portal. Are there any questions at the moment?
Well, I'll, as folks maybe are thinking through this, anything that comes up, I'll thank you all for that overview and that reminder. And I think it is important as we look at that to remember that since this is a cloud-based service, that when there are changes or updates or new features, that obviously things change, just as you all so well just demonstrated. And I was going to, I started to mention the fact that Digital Promise, we maintain a help desk, a help service of our own. And then you all have one as well. I think you have, I thought there was a slide that had your support listed.
Yeah, I put one together for, it was like right after.
It may be after this one then. So maybe,
yeah.
So I'll circle that one in just a second. So let's then think about our best practices, right?
Steve, can we pause for a moment? Emil has a question.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Hi, I'm sorry I came late. Was this portal available for coaches?
So this is part of the Hotspot program. So I know on this call we have folks that are in the one-to-one program with either Chromebooks or iPads, and then we have another program that does Hotspots. So this portion is really addressed. The service that we're walking through is what's available for hotspot districts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So what I was going to suggest then is we kind of think around what we have available to us. The fact that, yes, we have a monthly data use report that Verizon provides to us, and we can look at that. That's kind of a snapshot in time, whereas what Cindy and Dan just demonstrated for us is more of, I'll call it near real-time data. And the fact that you, as you saw Dan do that slider, you can adjust dates for days or weeks that maybe don't necessarily coincide with our monthly reports that we do. So I think that's very helpful as long as you think about those differences. But one of the things I'll point out is, you know, now that we have access to some data on what's going on, I think one of the first questions you see in our best practices there is, how are your hotspots being used? You know, sometimes you can look at it and see maybe there's not a lot of use. Like our demo site that we just demonstrated had just 3 devices in there, and there was some minimal use. Then you think about your students, sometimes it's the other extreme. It's very, very high and heavy usage. So you think about, you know, if you're using the devices and they're using them very, very heavily, what are they doing? And as Cindy just showed, you can look at the sites that they're visiting and the things that they're doing to get an idea of, are they using the devices properly and effectively? Are they spending a lot of time maybe in entertainment things that maybe is not part of what they're being assigned to do? Or maybe they're doing everything in the Google domain with their accounts and G Suite and all those kinds of things. So it's always a question of how are they being used, and the data helps paint that picture for you. And then, as I mentioned, our second thing is about, you know, the data that's being consumed. Are they using too little, or are they using too much? We've had both extremes in the program. You know, we've had some folks that have had very, very little data usage, and we start asking, are they okay? Do they have a device that they're pairing with the hotspot? Are they having trouble with the hotspot? And then the extreme, I remember working with Dan and Cindy last year, we had some really, really extreme users on data usage, and found out that, yes, we have a basic SIPA compliant profile there, but just because it's safe, it may not be instructionally sound. And there was a lot of gaming and things going on. So we had to go back and revise a few things. So again, when you look at that, it's not just the amount of data, but what is being consumed, you know. And that leads me to that third point. You know, what are they accessing? And our standard Verizon report, we really don't get any feedback on any of the sites they're visiting, what they're doing. That's where the Akamai piece is so important, because you do have visibility. You know, you can look at you've got an inventory file that has the telephone number or the mobile device number of the hotspot. And if you cross-reference those with who you've issued those devices, you could look at, you know, say little Stevie Brown might be a 6th grader and he's spending an awful lot of time in YouTube. Maybe we need to touch base with him. Yes, the teachers have some videos for them to look, but probably not to the level they're consuming. So I think that's worth a review. And then the fourth best practice really is making sure that all the students that need a device have a device, right? So we talk about that demonstrated need when you come into the program, about who doesn't have access to internet, and you provide the hotspot for them, and they have maybe a Chromebook, a laptop, an iPad, something that they can take home and use with that hotspot. If they have the hotspot but no device, or they have the device and no hotspot, again, it takes all those pieces to make this work. So just wanted to point out, those are some of the things you want to be thinking through. And I don't know if there's any comments or questions around that before I move on to the next slide. If not, let me go ahead and bring up Dan's support slide.
Awesome. That was a great overview, Steve. And kind of how Cindy highlighted in the portal. you could always click on the help button in the portal, but we have plenty of other options for you to get help as well. In fact, we have a dedicated customer success team and 24/7 support with a service desk. And you can email, and this information is also in the portal as well. But if you need some more like a kind of an extra demo training one-on-one, or you just want to kind of have us review your portal, make sure everything's going well, email any of these right here, copy myself and Cindy, and we'll schedule that right away. And of course, you could always reach out to, I believe, Steve, keep me honest here with the right lingo, but every district has leads and coaches, and this extends out to you all as well. If you have a district that wants to schedule something, reach out to us. This is available for you all as well.
Thank you, Dan. And yes, I think, in different programs, we have different terms. So we refer in the Hotspot program, the folk that do the coaching and do the IT support, we call those our liaisons. So yes, in the Hotspot program, we have liaisons. And so, yeah, it's great to know that they can get that support. So thank you for pointing that out. So that kind of, I know we're a little early, about 15 minutes or so early, but just wanted to make sure as we kind of talk through this, if there's any other questions, and feel free to come off mute or put it in the chat. If not, I did want to point out about an upcoming opportunity. I know in the last session I was in, Jane highlighted this, and yet again, the Affordable Connectivity Program that is coming available for us, a new federal program. And so we're going to have access to a webinar that's going to kind of talk through that. And I believe, there you go, Lucara's on it. She just dropped in the chat the registration link where you can sit in and participate on this if you like, and it's really designed for our district and school leaders that could take advantage of this program and know what's going on. But just want to point out that this is available. I'd encourage you to register, and yeah, that'll be a great opportunity. So now realize that in our SCED app, there is going to be an opportunity to talk about our session, and we ask you please give us feedback. That's how we always modify the sessions that we have and offer. And then as a review, we're coming up in about 15 minutes. So y'all are going to get a couple extra minutes on top of that. You're going to have a break. And then we're going to come back. There are 4 sessions going on at 1:45 Eastern, if you're in the Eastern time zone as I am. So choose through these. And I believe the one, I believe it was the augmented reality one. There was one that was canceled. I think that was the one that Dr. Mason was leading. So you may want to look through the sessions that you've got available to you. And with that, I'm going to thank you all for being part of the webinar today. Take a few moments during our extended break here to stretch the legs, get a little movement there, and maybe get a soda or water, something to have a little drink, and we'll see you back shortly. But thank you all very much.
Thanks for having us, Steve. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, team.